So first, as an introduction, my name is Fernando Sedano, and I coordinate the wildfire team at the Disaster Risk Management Unit of the Joint Research Center of the European Commission. Okay, challenge and rationale. So this is about wildfires at global scale. As you probably already know, the wildfire regime is changing globally. The fire seasons are getting longer, heat waves are getting more intense and more frequent, and that's having some consequences. Here in the slide, you have a clear example of what happened in 2024 in the Amazon basin, where for the first time in records, forest fires were the first cause of deforestation and forest degradation in the Amazon. So you see that these changes are occurring in the Amazon, but also in other parts of the world. In this context, the GWIS, the Global Wildfire Information System, wants to provide harmonized, reliable, and up-to-date information about wildfires. We understand and we know that there are some countries that have very sophisticated systems, but we know that most of the countries don't have the systems to monitor wildfires, produce information, and don't have the knowledge to process that information. So we want to be a response for those countries. Okay, next. So how do we do that? We do that through meteorological data and Earth observation data. And I'm going to go through a number of slides showing some of the products and that we are providing. For instance, here I'm showing you a global map of fire danger. This is measured through the Canadian Fire Weather Index. We provide this information based on meteorological models at 8-meter resolution, real time, and we do forecasts for the next 9 days. With this, we aim to provide early warning information regarding wildfire so that people on the ground, decision makers, can make decisions about positioning means, extinction means on real time. What else? We try to collect information from all the satellites available, all the moderate resolution satellites. I'm talking here about MODIS, VIRS, and Sentinel-3 data, and provide information of where the thermal anomalies, where the active fires are occurring. And we do this with up to 8 updates every day. We also try to add some value to that information, and based on those thermal anomalies, create clusters or conglomerates of thermal anomalies. So this could be something like clusters of area affected by fires. You have the global map again, and I'm giving you this snapshot of the situation in Canada sometime this year. You see that we have a rough estimate of the area affected by fires in some parts of Canada. What else? We also estimate emissions. We get data from the Copernicus Atmospheric Management Services, and we treat it so that we can have daily information on emissions coming from forest fires. Besides that, and along the lines of what Amos was mentioning before, we try to move from data and information to Earth intelligence. We are still far from that, but that's our goal. We want to organize all that information that I mentioned before in a way that is easily accessible for non-experts, so that it can support users in every country, and it can be integrated and used within, for instance, the policy process, right? We want to, this information could be used for policy design, implementation, and evaluation. We are providing historical statistics on burn area, number of fires, emissions, and we are also providing information on real time. We also organize that information so that we can characterize the fire regime. And when I talk about fire regime, I'm talking about seasonality, number of fires, burn area affected, frequency of the fires, land cover and land use affected for each country and each region in the world. Whereas we are also providing long-term forecast of the main meteorological variables, in this case, temperature and anomalies. We know that this long-term forecast will always be taken with a pinch of salt, but we believe that this information is useful again when we are talking about decision makers that have to make decisions on how to position airplanes, helicopters, field crews for wildfire extintions ahead of time. So user engagement and key partnerships. So from going from left to right, so we are part of the European Commission, and our main partners are the Directorate Generals of the European Commission. Some of these Directorate Generals provide funds for research. Some others are users of the system, and some others are just part of the governance structure. Here I'm talking about DG Connect, that is related to artificial intelligence, DG DEFIS related to space and defense, DG ECHO related to civil protection and emergency operations, and DG IMTA related to international partnerships. Besides that, a key component of GWIS is the GovSigol Fire IT group. This group that is integrated by research institutions in several parts of the world. You can see there the logos. This includes NASA, NOAA, University of Maryland, the U.S. Forest Service, the Space Agency of Canada, and some others. And some others are basically providing the guidance and the advice for the evolution of GWIS. These are some of the main research institutions in our field, and their guidance is key and has been key to develop the system. Then when it comes to partnerships, we collaborate with several international institutions. For instance, we are closely engaged with the FAO Global Fire Management Hub. We also work with the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, the World Meteorological Organization. We work with the African Union, and in Latin America, we work with the Amazon Cooperation Treaty Organization and the Amazon Regional Observatory. This is not a comprehensive list, it's just an example. Just another example of how this information is used. This corresponds to the wildfires in Bolivia in 2024. For you to have an idea, there was a single fire in Bolivia in 2024 that was the size of Switzerland. And this information from GWIS was used within by DG ECHO, so the civil protection body of the European Commission. There is this structure, it's called the Union Civil Protection Mechanism, for which a country can request support and the European Commission will provide that support. So in this case, Bolivia requested support to fight these fires, and DG ECHO used the information coming from GWIS to evaluate the request and get an idea of which means and how they should be deployed. What else? As a spin-off of GWIS, we have activities in different parts of the world. For instance, in this case, we are trying to replicate a very successful process that we had in Europe, or we have in Europe, and we have been having over the last 25 years, where we have a group of experts that is providing guidance to the development of the European system. In this case, we are trying to create an expert group of forest fires for Latin America and the Caribbean. This is a group that meets twice a year, and the idea is that we are trying to integrate a community to develop, to exchange experiences, develop guidance, and put together a mutual assistance mechanism. So these images I'm showing you is from the meeting we had in last May in Bolivia, in Santa Cruz. But last week we had our 9th meeting in Mexico City. Whereas new technologies, we are now trying to develop a global wildfire decision support system that again is mimicking a decision support system that we have in place for Europe. This system is supposed to put all the information within reach of the decision makers so that they can decide where to allocate. They can know where the fires are taking place, how those fires could evolve over time, and based on that, decide where to allocate the extinction means. When we take this to a global scale, we want to use extensive use of artificial intelligence to improve our fuel models, to improve our meteorological variables, so that we can improve the performance of the fire behavior models. Where else? So we understand that we are in a changing landscape of wildfire monitoring sensors. Some of the sensors are arriving to the end of the lifetime. There is some uncertainty about the space programs in some quarters, but we also know we are aware of some other initiatives. Wildfires at global coverage from the Canadian side. We monitor developments in commercial satellites, and we also monitor developments in geostationary satellites. And as soon as this information is ready, we will integrate it in GWIS. And then again, regarding sustainability, as I said, GWIS is coordinated by the Joint Research Center of the European Commission. We are part of the Commission, and therefore we have a budget line by the European Commission. Here you see some of the bodies of the European Commission that in one capacity or another are supporting our development. It could be that in the future, GWIS is integrated in one of the Copernicus emergency management services, and that could ensure our sustainability even for a longer period of time. And I think that's all from me. I will stop sharing.